Welcome back, Tiger fans, to Rockin' Radio's football podcast. I'm Nate Edwards. That's Nathan Hurst. This is Before the Box Score. Victory in Columbia. The Battle of Columbia is the Mayor's Cup. It's back with the good guys. Missouri wins 29-20. It's been a day. Been a day to think about it. We're going to talk about it. Nathan Hurst, how you doing?
I am doing great. It's always great after a win, especially after a win against that specific team. It just feels right to beat South Carolina. It feels good and wholesome, and holy, and just it's all is right with the world when South Carolina loses, Mizzou wins, and we get a piece of hardware to hold on to.
It wasn't always that way. Missouri first came into the SEC. They got spanked that first matchup. Oof, not even close.
2012, I remember it. I remember it well.
It was a bad one. It was a bad one. But certainly since Eli Drinkwitz has come down, and really since kind of 2017, somewhere around there, basically there was a turning point where it just became more normal. I think the Gamecocks won 16, 17, 18. And then Missouri went on their run, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Really, last year was the first year that they lost to them. And now we beat them again. So, hey, it's all evening out. Nature is healing. We're back in a good spot. But yeah, the takeaway from yesterday, I mean, we are a Missouri podcast. I think you know that. That's all in the name. That's what Rockin' is. And I brought up my concerns about this game, obviously in our preview and the pre-gaming, but I'm going to take this opening moment and just say Lenora Sellers is an incredible quarterback. Like, he is able to overcome so many detrimental aspects of South Carolina football. Did it last year, is doing it this year without the wins, but like, he's going to get very close to transcendent territory, at least at the college level. And watching him play a second time with a worse surrounding cast than what he had last year and still hanging in there till the end, that kid's really good. And it's a shame that Shane Beamer and his friends couldn't put better talent around him, because he is a unique talent.
He is really good. He's really, really good. And when I was rewatching the game today, after watching it live there, you don't get quite the benefit of as many replays and different angles and stuff. We'll talk a little bit more, probably a lot more here in a moment, about some of Mizzou's struggles defending Lenora Sellers. But in rewatching the game, it made me appreciate him much more. I mean, I knew in the moment, wow, he's doing some crazy stuff and keeping his team solely in this game. But it did make me feel better knowing that Mizzou is not going to play at quarterbacks like him moving forward. There will be some other good quarterbacks. Yeah. Taylon Green can do some similar things. Marcel Reed, not quite as polished as a passer, but he's athletic. But some of the plays that were created, big plays, passing plays downfield, were only made possible because Lenora Sellers was able to escape pressure, which Mizzou was consistently able to pressure him all night long, which was great. Finally really got that game we were hoping to see, where where that front four is really dominating. He was able to escape pressure and make just some absolute dimes 20, 30 yards downfield. That's a rarity in college football. It's a rarity in the NFL too. And there's only a handful of guys that can really do that on the highest level. And Sellers looks like he might be one of those guys that could ultimately end up doing that down the road. And Mizzou's, faced him. He burned them a few times, but ultimately they did enough on both ends of the field, on both sides of the ball, to win the game and win it fairly convincingly, if not on the score sheet, not on the scoreboard, then at least in the stat sheet. So it made me feel a little bit better, because he made some plays there that other guys, Ty Simpson's not going to make. That even Marcel Reed not going to make, because he may be athletic, but he doesn't have the ability to keep his eyes downfield and make those 30-yard dimes like Sellers did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, we took our first 5 minutes to tip the cap to Lenora Sellers, who we will not be seeing again in a South Carolina uniform, by the way. So, yay! We did it. We survived. Went 1-1. But come on. This is just yet another Ahmad Hardy show. And it's not there yet. I'm not saying it's there yet. but it's almost white noise at this point to jump on any social media and read something absurdly awesome about Ahmad Hardy. It just is. We're getting there. We're 4 games into the season. We're getting close. He was the weapon yesterday, and no disrespect to Jamal Roberts, who had some killer runs and conversions as well. He was a first down converting machine yesterday, but Hardy had the highlights, right? He had the stiff arm of death that got him an extra 27 yards on a rush. He had the touchdown where he was basically just a big old baby laying on a pile of people and then jumped up and got in there anyway. He was bottled up for the first half, and he was able to make do with explosive runs, which you typically cannot count on as replicable over an entire game or an entire season. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm still not tired, and you are," and we just ran roughshod over him in the second half. It's you say it's impressive, and you're like, that's not the right word, but it's incredible what this kid can do, and we have at least another year of him. He carried this game, simply put.
Yeah, he's a monster. And you can't really point to one specific singular skill that he has because he has them all. He is incredibly strong, can run you over, but most of his broken tackles aren't where he's just absolutely bulldozing or hit sticking a guy. He's incredibly slippery too. He has that a combination of being really strong yet incredibly slippery, where he hits guys hard enough that they can't fully, it jolts them back, and so they lose their leverage. And then he's slippery enough to then kind of, just slide right out and move on to the next guy, where he does the same thing and then slides right out and moves his way on down the field. And then he's got once he gets into that open field, he's got the ability to accelerate within 2 or 3 strides, where then he's up in full speed. And that's how you go from a 12-yard run and turn a 12-yard run into a 30-yard run really easily, as you break 2 tackles, and then once you get that little bit of opening, boom, you're 30 yards downfield. He's amazing.
He can absorb contact. He can make people miss. He has an incredible sense of balance. He hits hard. He has a brick house for an ass. He can squat a team. And he's fast. I mean, I don't want to fall into hyperbole, especially 4 games into a season, but I was texting our old friend BK yesterday, who was at the game. I think this is the best running back Missouri has had, certainly in my time, your time. 25 years, best running back we've had. And I don't know if it's even close. I would say Henry Josie's probably second, but Henry Josie didn't have he didn't have like the ownership over the game that Ahmad Hardy seems to have, where you're just like, what do we do? Like, Josie was able to like create extra yards and holes that no one saw. He could just find space and make it happen. And so it was, and I'm not downplaying that. That's an incredible skill. I'd rather have that skill, but he's just not as imposing. He was not as powerful as Hardy and everything else that we've already described. Am I crazy to say that this is the best running back we've had in our lifetimes?
Not at all. Not at all. Josie was very different, a different back, a great back. But he was he had one skill, and that was, I feel like I would say 2 skills: ability to find small crevices to spit through, and then the ability to accelerate to a top end speed that probably is higher than Hardy's. If you put the 2 in their primes in a foot race, Josie would probably win that foot race. But if you hit Josie solidly, he's going to go down, because he was probably 25 pounds lighter than Hardy. It just didn't have that same strength. Could beat him in a race, but couldn't. And so if you boxed in Josie, if you closed up the holes, he was going to go down. He'd go down for a yard, maybe 2. If you box in Hardy, he still could easily, probably will get 4 or 5 yards and could still break out and get 20 or 30. He's the type of guy that you can do everything right, and he could still get a first down on you, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. And so, you know what? Yesterday, my mind kind of wandered to, best running back tandems that Missouri's ever had. When I was growing up, it was Brock Olivo and Devin West, and that was a different era. That was a Larry Smith option team. So They were just by nature going to run a lot more um, than other teams, than a Gary Pinkel team, than a Barry Odom team. So there's an aspect of that, but they're really freaking good. And even then, we just talked about it. Henry Josie and Marcus Murphy. That was a lightning and lightning tandem. Josie was probably a little bit more of the thunder than Murph, but add James Franklin into that, and you had three guys who were dangerous with the ball on the ground, and that was one of the main reasons that that 2013 offense was so good. So you got to think about them. You got to think about Larry Roundtree and Tyler Beatty. Obviously, they were more kind of the 90-10 carry split, so where there wasn't much of a tandem, but they were both on the same team. They both ended up in the NFL. Both had different skill sets, but Tony Temple was a single guy. Maybe you could throw Derek Washington in there, but he was not really prevalent during that time. Ish Witter and who else? I don't know. Kendall Lawrence really didn't have any kind of talent to the degree that that Hardy does.
And you had like him and Hansbrough, who was talented.
Hansbrough was great.
But not, I don't think either anywhere on the level. I mean, maybe Hansbrough and Roberts could be comparable in terms of their running speed, their running ability. But that's just those two. That's not adding Hardy on top of it.
It's, I don't know. I mean, again, we're 4 games in, and already Ahmad Hardy has converted the third most first downs of 2024. And we're four games into the season. And Jamal Roberts is a first down machine too, man. Like Hardy was bottled up a little bit, and Roberts was able to kind of at least stem the flow, like kind of provide that second wave and not be tired and keep possession. And in any other season, Jamal Roberts would be the featured back, and it's just because we have this unique unicorn freak of nature that he's playing second fiddle, and he's doing it so well. It's, I don't know. We'll see. This already, we got to think that this tandem is one of the best we've ever had, on top of the fact that Hardy's the best running back we've ever seen. I know you didn't see this, but Ahmad Hardy's the first guy since Joe Moore in the 60s to have 4 straight 100-yard rushing games, and as a Mizzou Tiger. And that's a long time ago. It's incredible stuff. And I don't know when the hyperbole is going to become trite, when it's just going to become white noise and you're going to forget about it, but don't, because we always talk about, like, hey, remember, you always wish you knew when you had something special, because you only really realize it when it's gone. This is special. Hello. Appreciate it. There's only a handful more games we have him for, until next year, and then he's gone.
Right. One thing I was curious, kind of getting prepped for this show, how many rushing yards as a team does Mizzou have through 4 games? Not just Hardy, which we've talked about and sung his praises. 600 yards on the dot for Hardy through 4 games, which is insane. That's a crazy number. But then Jamal Roberts, your number 2 back, has 300 yards himself, 298. So we'll call it 300 by himself. If our leading rusher going in after 4 games had 300 yards, we'd be like, all right, that's okay. And he's second with 300 yards, half as many as the leading guy. And then you have Bo Prabula, who's tossed in another 150, 175 on the ground for a total of almost 1,200 yards on the ground. That because if you add in Marquise Davis as well, he has a 100-yard game in his own right. So 1,200 yards rushing, 1,192, I think, is the total. Through 4 games, that is crazy. That's 300 yards a game, and they've played. It's not like they played 4 FCS teams. They played 2 FBS teams. One of them in South Carolina had a legitimate rushing defense coming into the game, and that was not a problem. They still put up. They hit their average against a very good running defense. Hit 300 yards, 298, I think, was the final, 285, whatever it was. Crazy stuff. I mean, that's military academy triple option on the numbers on the ground, and they're doing it in a much more traditional, even shotgun look, which is crazy.
Man, okay. So you remember Tyler Beatty? We've already talked about him. Do you remember the pace that he was on in 2021?
Well, he ended up with 1,600 yards.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it was like
through 12 games, that is, 150-ish yards a game, something like that.
Right. So he ended up with 1,604, and basically the the talk at the time in 2021 was, number one, is he how can he maintain this pace? Because it was like
Yeah.
25 carries a game, you know.
And he was the only guy. I mean, he was the only
He was
guy.
it. He was
There
it.
weren't,
Yeah.
you know.
And so I was like, well, can he even stay healthy enough to get through 1,000? So you already talked about it. Ahmad Hardy currently 79 carries, 600 yards. 4 games into the 2021 season. Again, a season in which we're going, oh my God, Tyler Beatty is going to break the Missouri single season rushing record. Wait, sorry. Do you know how many rushing yards he had after 4 games?
No,
I
I
don't want
don't.
to steal your thunder. Okay.
I don't.
He had 417.
Okay.
And that was over 66 carries. Okay. Again, Ahmad Hardy, 79, 600. So there's comparison number 1. Comparison number 2. Do you remember a gentleman named Cody Schrader?
I do.
Yeah. That's another gentleman who is near the top of the record books as far as rushing in Missouri history. In 2023, after 4 games, do you want to guess how many yards he had?
I would say 350 or so, because he didn't really break out till the second half of the season.
418.
Okay.
Over 65 carries. Sound familiar? Yeah. Again, Ahmad Hardy, 79, 600. He's beating them on a total carries and a yards per carry average.
And that's with a backup who has, 300 yards and probably 45 carries in his own right, which is crazy.
Yep. That's where we're at. So unprecedented territory for Mr. Hardy. Stay healthy. Go ride your horse, hit the ice tub, eat your Wheaties and drink your Gatorade and listen to your trainers. Because we got a long road to hoe. We're only a third of the way through the season. And if you play it right, not even that. So, we need to get that. And then along those lines, tip of the cap, Javen Richardson, sir, left tackle. Bravo. I didn't notice you at all. And that's really all you can ask for your backup offensive lineman. He came in there. Now, they didn't run a ton left, but even when they did, it worked. It worked pretty well.
2 of the biggest runs, 2 of the biggest plays of the game were running to the left with Jamal Roberts, one for the touchdown to give Mizzou the lead for good, and the other was to kind of ice it, get it down into field goal range where you felt good about there at the end. So, and those were both over the left side.
It seems as Kirby Morris kind of figured out how he wants to manage the offensive line workload. If they want to matriculate, like if it's at the beginning of a drive, they tend to run right. Why? Because Curtis Pegler and Keegan Trost are the most consistently good run blockers. I'm not using a stat here. I'm using my eyes. I know. Shocker. Keegan Trost is a hell of a running blocker as a tackle. Like he's probably would be a pretty good guard too, but he and Pegler were just paving it. And then what they do is when they're looking for a big one, they go left because you already sucked it, the defense going right. And then again, the left side of the line, maybe not as good, but they're competent and you can break it. It was great. And I think there's a lot of hand wringing when you heard that Caden Green was out for this game. Sounds like it's going to be 3 weeks at a minimum. 3 weeks puts you at Alabama, by the way. Potentially 5. And, we kind of forgot that Javen Richardson was in a battle for the first left tackle slot. And the only reason he didn't get it was because they wanted to bring Jadis in, and they needed to keep Green on the field. So, I don't know. I thought he did pretty well. Like I said, you didn't notice him. Anything stand out? Did you see anything that really there he is?
No, I mean, there was no oh gosh, that was bad. It helped a lot. And I think this was, I'm pretty sure this was a strategic move that Kirby Moore made, and this is a props to him as well. South Carolina likes to use Dylan Stewart where they're putting him on the boundary side, or the field side rather, on every play. So they'll move him around, but they like to put him on the side of the field where there's more space. And so I think Kirby Moore specifically called plays to the side of the field to keep Dylan Stewart on the opposite side of the field from where Richardson was. That way Stewart's not a great run defense guy. He's put your head down and pass rush over and over again. So if you can put him on Trost, or put Trost on him, and then have your best run blocking tackle knock the guy who's not great at run blocking, to the right side, and they kind of strategically placed the ball where they wanted it every time to keep. And then when you did get into passing downs, Stewart's over there on Trost, which I think they still felt better about than introducing him to Richardson on too many plays. So I think that was a good plan on their part, and it worked out great. And that's probably why we didn't really have to think too hard about Richardson, because they handled Stewart great. The one or two times he did kind of get through, Jamal Roberts absolutely just destroyed him in pass protection, kind of stepping up. Another part of what makes Roberts a really, really valuable piece on this offense. So he did not have much of an impact at all.
No. He had 3 hurries, 2 tackles. Nah, that's it. That's not the Dylan Stewart I know. He's he came into this game with 2 sacks and 7 tackles and how many hurries? Whew, he had 8 hurries heading into this game. Just not a whole lot. So yeah, they neutralized him pretty well, which is good. So yeah, I mean, the offensive line is still not figured out. I'm not saying that's the case. Obviously, you want Caden Green rather than not have him. Worst case scenario, like, hey, you got a decent backup in there that was able to handle a very talented South Carolina defensive line. And so that brings me to my second point, or third point, I guess, is that South Carolina kind of who I said they were, which was a killer run defense, kind of wishy-washy pass defense, and an offense that could only move the ball through explosive plays. That's what they did. Now, they're a little bit more efficient in the second quarter than I thought they could be. And they finished drives a lot better than they had been anyway. But other than that, they're just a boomer bust 3-point team, 3-point shooting team. And they were hitting them in the first half, and they really didn't hit them in the second half. And Missouri was able to hit their twos, their layups, their jumpers. They're able to do it, and South Carolina couldn't. So it was tight. It didn't feel good, but they were who we thought they were.
It was a lot like the Kansas game in terms of just the game flow and the game script, where dominate them in the stat sheet, but the score is still not really reflecting that, and actually have a trail going into the fourth quarter. Same thing as Kansas, but then finally the defense is able to get a stop. The offense scores a touchdown, get another stop, score more points, put the game away. And that's kind of been an Eli Drinkwitz calling card in these close games. It's just the fourth quarter, whatever has happened before then, there's, up until that point, they're in the game, and then the team has the resiliency to come out on top. They find the way to overcome whatever challenges they've been dealing with, previously in the game. The explosive plays were getting to be a problem for South Carolina, because that's, as you said, that's all they could do. We talked about how we've never seen a team get negative pass yards, or like 2 pass yards, or whatever Louisiana got last week. We absolutely flipped that same script, and South Carolina had -9 rushing yards, which is insane for an SEC game. Now, 30 of those were lost on sacks, because Lenore Sellers, despite his excellence, also likes to really get himself in trouble, and often he can slip out of it, but every once in a while, if he gets in trouble enough, he's going to get
47 yards lost for sacks.
And props goes to Jeremiah Trotter, to Damon Wilson, to all the guys that were putting him in pressure all night long. They ended up with 5 sacks, and when they did get him, it was after he ran backwards 10 extra yards every time, which really put them in some interesting situations with long third and long yardage. So, really proud of the front seven. I thought they played as well as they possibly could in a game like this, both in a pass rushing sense and a rushing defense sense. I could not have asked for more from the defensive line, from the linebackers. They all played great. Nick Rodriguez flying around. I mean, catch the ball when it hits you in the chest, son. But other than that, he had really kind of definitely his best game as a young Tiger so far. Yeah. Really excited about his future. Trotter is just a menace. I mean, that guy is everywhere. Khalil Jacobs was flying around. Donovan Newsom, haven't really heard his name a whole lot. And I think it's because Nick Rodriguez is starting
Mhm.
to kind of encroach in on his territory. But that's great. There's just
Yeah.
more snaps for more people. I mean, more breathing time for more people.
I mean, yeah, you do feel bad for Tristan Wilson coming back, but also at the same time, it's not like he was going to get drafted. This
Yeah.
is just one extra year for you to, do exactly what was going to happen last year and make it onto a practice squad, and then earn your keep there. But yeah, Trotter is clearly your starting inside linebacker, and Newsom is no longer your starting weak. It is now Rodriguez, or at least that's who they seem to be trusting more this year than they were last year, which makes sense. Um, yeah, I mean, Eli Drinkwitz talked about it in the post game conference. He's going to have to chew out his secondary coaches. Yes, because you're giving up the big ones, and that's a problem. But you look at the success rates. Yeah, South Carolina was at 50% success rate in the second quarter, but they were 18% in quarter one, 35 in Q3, 10% in Q4. When they were only throwing, they attempted one run in the fourth quarter. It was a scramble from Lenore Sellers for 1 yard. Like, Mike Shula, their offense coordinator, he ain't a dummy. He's like, oh yeah, we can only throw on these guys. That's all I'm going to do. That's what he did. And so, kind of holding up with bomb after bomb after bomb, like they did pretty good. 36.4% success rate when Lenore Sellers throws the ball. That's pretty good. The issue that you're looking at is, of course, 10.9 yards per target, 16.9 yards per catch. That's crazy high. Like if they were to connect, it was going forever. So I get it. But also at the same time, it's a 64% completion rate. The defense was doing a pretty good job of stopping a good chunk of those. And there's a couple overthrows on there too, so I'm not going to completely take away. But I don't know. Drake Norwood was missing some time. It's clear Toriano Pride has not made the leap. Stephen Hall is good. He's not that good, and the safeties are having issues passing off responsibilities. What else are you supposed to do?
It's a combination of all of the above in terms of the secondary issues. It's something that Eli Drinkwitz addressed in the post game. He sees it too. They all see it. That's the one weakness of this whole team at this moment. I mean, we've talked about the offensive line, but they seem to at least figured out how they can run the ball. It seems like they'll be able to run the ball against just about anybody. Pass protection, they've been okay. They've been good enough. So right now, the glaring weakness in this team is the secondary and the propensity to give up big plays. And it's not like Mizzou was giving Sellers a ton of time to throw the ball either. I mean, he was getting pressured on just about every pass play that he dropped back on, and they really were doing a good job on the short, those short and intermediate routes. They did not give up a whole lot there. It was the deep plays due to either miscommunication, where the one touchdown was Norwood thought that Catalan had the guy deep. Catalan thought that Norwood was going to be it. So someone was wrong there. Who knows? I don't know what the defensive call is. So I'm not going to cast blame, but other than the fact that somebody screwed up, which means everybody screwed up. Because if one guy screws up in the secondary, it hurts everybody. And then the two other long passes were just man defense getting torched, and it's troubling because this is the option other than playing man is to play zone, and this is an established terrible zone team. They were terrible at zone last year. They're even worse at it this year. I don't necessarily know why that is. I don't know if it's a coaching thing, if it's a personnel thing, whatever. They cannot play zone. They are horrible at it. And it ends up, instead of covering a space, they cover nothing and they cover nobody. And everyone is open all the time when they play zone. So they have to play man. But when they play man, their cornerbacks just don't have the ability to stay with the guy stripe or start, at least a couple of them. I think Norwood, it hasn't gotten burned, just toasted deep when the safety is supposed to be over there too. But Hall and Pride have both got toasted pretty bad in this last game, and also other times during the season. So that's what they've got to figure out. They got to figure out either A, how can we actually play a zone that is marginally okay, which I still don't like, because that's going to limit the amount of options you have for pressuring the quarterback outside of the front four. Now, if they can get consistent pressure with the front four, which they have been doing, especially in this past game, then maybe you can start looking at, well, do we even take out a couple linebackers and put even more defensive backs in there? But then that rush defense, which has been so good, then that really starts to suffer. And if you do that against an Alabama or a Texas A&M, they're going to make you pay for that. So I don't know what the answer is. It doesn't seem like Eli Drinkwitz has a whole lot of great answers at the moment either. but they're going to have to figure out, because right now that's going to be what's capping the ceiling on this team when they face teams with an ability to protect more than South Carolina could, because their offensive line is just is
Shambolic.
garbage. Alabama has a much better offensive line. Texas A&M has a
Yeah.
much better offensive line. Auburn has a much better offensive line. I say that they gave up 11 sacks to Oklahoma yesterday, so we'll see. They ostensibly have a better offensive line. So when they come up against teams that are going to be able to run the ball better and protect a little bit better, that's a recipe for giving up 40 points really easily if they can't figure it out.
I mean, the answer is what they're doing. Run the ball 80 times, milk the clock, put your defense in a position where they only really need to stop them once or twice, and put all the pressure on your offense to string together a 10, 12, 14 play combo and finish with a touchdown. It's the recipe that your late aughts, early teens Oregon did, just on the inverse. Because what Oregon would do is just go run the ball, run as fast as you can, create a lot of possessions, and we're just going to outlast you with points. And our defense needs one turnover or like a handful of stops, and you're going to run out of gas and can't score anymore, and we're not. And that's how they did it. And this is just a slower version of that. We've got a sack full of hammers called Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts. It takes us 10 minutes to do anything, even a 3 and out. And you're going to have 10 possessions to do this. And we just need our defense to give us one. Right? Doctor Strange, one. Like that's all we need. We need one stop and we're going to win. And maybe that's it. And it worked out okay. It's worked out so far this year. I think there are teams that can counter that formula. And there's going to be an off day for the offense. And the defense is going to have to figure out how to overcome. Which is wild to say that in September 21st, because I'm pretty sure in July 21st we're going, how is this offense going to not let down the defense? And now here we are asking the exact opposite.
Right. And it's not the whole defense. I mean, the front seven, as we've said multiple times, has been great. I mean, it's been everything that we've hoped it would be. I would challenge anyone to find a linebacking core that is better than what this team is rolling out there with four or five deep. And you start talking about, Trotter, of course, and then Jacobs and Rodriguez and Newsom. It's played excellent. McClellan's a beast. Sterling Webb, I thought, had a really underrated game. He was causing some serious havoc right up the middle multiple times. Finally, just kind of bull rushing his man on those pass rushes. So front seven's been great. It's the secondary that's been a problem. We thought the safeties were going to be way better. I did, for sure, based on the guys they brought in. That's been a problem. So hopefully they can figure that out. All that said, this is the Mizzou won by 9 points. If Bo Prabula doesn't throw a really weirdly bad interception, because the Tigers were moving on that possession, they would have probably at least gotten 3, if not a touchdown out of that, because that led to a touchdown the other way. If Nick Rodriguez catches an interception that hits him in the chest, that South Carolina goes on to score a touchdown on that possession, you're looking at a 42 to 14, 42 to 17 type of game. It could easily have flipped that way. So they dominated on all the big things. It's these marginal things, which can come back to hurt you against better teams. But on the big picture things, they're really handling their business.
And hey, let's not forget old Bobby Meyer. What are we calling him?
Big Shot Bob.
Bobby
Big Shot
Boots.
Bob nailing it.
Kid did it. No, it was not. I mean, it was pretty. I'm going to say it was do or die, but that's about the most pressure he's had so far this year.
Oh, no doubt.
As far as a kick goes. And he got it.
He nailed it. I mean, it was true the whole time. He misses that. South Carolina gets the ball on the 30-yard line with a minute and a half left. And no timeouts, but you don't need that timeouts with a minute and a half left. And they had shown the ability to throw the ball downfield pretty, with ease. So there was a lot of pressure on that one. You win it, and you kick it, you make it, you win the game. You lose it, you really put the team in a tough spot. And he nailed it. when he first high pressure kick he's had, and he nailed it.
He did good. I hope he was able to celebrate with several juice boxes because he's only a freshman. Maybe 3. I don't know. It's a 3 juice box night, you know?
Yeah, maybe do a Gatorade suicide, all the flavors.
Oh, yeah. That's the good stuff. When it turns brown, that's how you know it's good. Yeah. And yeah, hat tip to Eli Drinkwitz. Dude loves his trophies. His teams win trophy games. That's what they do. He's got a lot of tricky ones left to go, but no, he's doing good. He had his guys ready, and they had the setback with the injury, and they kept going. It was a tight game. They kept going. He was able to pretty quickly, call out his coaches for some screw ups and recognize what's going on. Like this is good, guys. This is real good. Unprecedented territory. 25-5 the last 30 games. I got that correct, which means that when they win against Massachusetts, which yes, I'm going to go ahead and say that's the best 31 game stretch in Missouri history. Yeah. They've been playing football in Missouri for a long time. This is the best. I appreciate it for what it is.
14 straight home games winning. I mean, I don't know the last time they've had a streak that long. It might have been it would have had to have been 08, 09, but 07, 08, 09. Well, even 09 they lost, so I don't know the last time they would have won 14 straight.
Yeah, 08 they lost to Oklahoma State. 07 they didn't lose a game, but 06 they lost a few. So
and 09 they definitely did. So it wasn't that stretch, and it certainly wasn't 13-14 because they lost at home to South Carolina.
Exactly.
So
unprecedented. That's what we're falling into here. Eli Drinkwitz is good at what he does, and he's brought in a lot of guys that are good at what they do. That's that's the takeaway. You getting excited for Massachusetts? Getting pumped?
No,
okay,
but
that's fine.
I mean, it's a survive and advance game. Get out of there with as minimal injuries and as you can, and get into the bye week, and then give yourself 2 weeks to get ready for Alabama, who will be coming off getting to play Vanderbilt. So it really that stretch plays out really well for Mizzou in terms of looking forward to Bama. Which they can, you don't want to say that, but they really can start looking toward Bama now. Alabama gets to play Georgia this next week at Georgia.
Oops.
Then they come home and get to play Vanderbilt, which is just like pulling teeth. And then they get to come to Columbia to play Mizzou. So I'd much rather be in Mizzou's shoes at the moment, playing UMass and then a bye week getting ready for Bama versus that schedule. So it really plays out pretty well.
It should be a pretty loosey-goosey couple weeks around the Mizzou sphere. We're just with the game this year, homecoming this week, then the bye week, and then getting geeked up for Alabama. So yeah, enjoy the low pressure. Because if you lose UMass, doesn't matter. The rest of the season doesn't matter. I'll just say it now.
Yeah, that would be a disqualifying game.
Yeah.
We say that though. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois at home. So not solely disqualifying, but it would be a canary in the coal mine that if you lose to UMass, the chances that you don't lose a few more are very low.
Yeah. Your number 19, number 20, Missouri Tigers, depending on the poll that you subscribe to, going to probably be heading into October undefeated and with the big game going against Alabama. Just what more could you ask for, man? This is
where you want to be.
SEC football. Yeah,
it is where you want to be.
That's good. And we'll talk about that more. Obviously, we got the midweek show this week, but that's going to be the show for today. As always, we appreciate the downloads and the subscriptions. You can leave a comment or you can rate us. We love all types of feedback from you all. You can follow us on Twitter at Nate G. Edwards. He's at Burst of Hearst. And, of course, you can follow the Rock M flagship at Rock M Nation and our podcast outlet at Rock M Radio. We appreciate you tuning in this time. We'll try to do better next time. And until then, MIZ.
ZOU.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.